Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Penetration channel. I came out to the shooting range today, figured I'd do a little penetration testing. In today's video, we're going to be featuring the 10mm versus the 357 SIG, and we're going to be using Underwood ammo extreme penetrators in both weapons. For the 10mm, we're going to be using the M&P 10 by Smith & Wesson. This is the 4.6 model. I am happy to say ever since I did the spring change, I've had zero malfunctions in this weapon. The reliability has been fantastic. For the 357 SIG, we're going to be using the M&P Generation 1.0 357 full size. I've never had an issue with this firearm. I rarely shoot it since they don't make it anymore, but it's an excellent firearm. Alright, so for the ammo, as I said, we got the 10mm Underwood extreme penetrators. This is a 140 grain projectile, moving at 1500 feet per second, and advertised muzzle energy of 700 foot-pounds. For the 357 SIG, we got the Underwood ammo extreme penetrators. This is a 115 grain projectile, traveling at 1450 feet per second, with an advertised muzzle energy of 537 foot-pounds. So we're going to find out which one of these two calibers are the king of kings. Alright, so let me show you guys what we're going to be shooting at today. So up front, we have one panel of 3/4 inch thick solid acrylic. Okay, so these bullets are going to have to defeat this barrier, and then behind this, to keep it pretty even between the two, I just kind of set the C-clamps up where the front of the C-clamp touches the back of the front C-clamp, so both calibers will get the same treatment and setup. So behind those, we just have these 1/8 inch thick fiberglass panels. I have 6 of those set up, and they're separated by 1/2 inch wooden blocks at the bottom. I don't believe either one of these calibers will make it through all 6 of these once it's gone through this 3/4 inch piece of acrylic. Now this has no kind of polycarbonate in it whatsoever, so I'm concerned that this may explode when the projectile hits it, but I guess we'll have to do it in the name of science. So give me a few seconds to get everything set up. I'll be back and get started. Okay, I try to get you guys set up with the best vantage point I could. I'm going to be filming the shot and showing you the results from the same location, because I'm going to be shooting the firearm about 20 yards back on the other side of my truck, just because I'm kind of weary on how that acrylic is going to react when it gets struck. So we're going to start off with the 357 SIG and the 115 grain Underwood extreme penetrators. Alright, let's see how that did. I wasn't intending on putting 3 rounds into that, but my first shot was ragged, so I put a couple more in there just to make sure we can get some results. Alright, so as you can see, our first acrylic panel took some major damage here. Get these off real quick. Yeah, so we have the 3 strikes here. which it definitely penetrated. It blew some massive chunks out the back of it. Nice. Get rid of that. Alright, and then we can see down here where my first shot penetrated, here in through the panel. There's number 2, there's number 3. Let's move some of these out of the way and see if it made it all the way through this first panel. Alright, we'll get this first panel out of the way. Alright, here is one of the projectiles from the Extreme Penetrators. Stopped right here on panel number 2. You see an impact here, There's all 3 impacts. See if we made it through those. Alright. Looks like one of the rounds made it through panel number 2. Stopped right there between panel number 2 and panel number 3. On panel number 3 we have an impact, and it looks like we have another hole here. Alright. So, there's the 3rd round that I fired. And it stopped right here on panel number 4. What I suspect is, once that first projectile hit that acrylic, the cracks probably softened it up a little bit and allowed these to have some more momentum when they went through. So we had one projectile that stopped on panel number 1, another projectile that stopped on panel number 2, and then the 3rd projectile stopped right here on panel number 4. And as you can see, there's no more damage on panel number 5. So the 357 SIG made it through the 3/4 inch piece of acrylic, and it made it through 3 panels and stopped on panel number 4. Let's take a look and see how 10mm is going to do. We'll get set up and get right back to it. Okay, we're all set back up and we're ready to try out the 10mm. In the interest of being fair, I did go ahead and load up 3 of the Extreme Penetrators in the 10mm, and we'll go ahead and shoot that 3 times because there was a pretty big variable in how the 357 SIG performed through the 3 cartridges. So we're going to see how she does. Alright, all 3 of those rounds functioned flawlessly in the M&P. And as you can see here, we made some nasty cracks in that plastic. Let me pull the 357 SIG plastic up and see how if that makes any difference. It's probably hard for you guys to get a look at. It looked pretty similar to me as far as the damage caused to the acrylic between 10mm and 357. I don't notice much of a difference. Even on the back where it blew the large portion out, they look pretty much identical. Obviously you're going to have a slightly larger hole in the center of it. And so you can see the large chunks taken out at the back of that. None of those cracks are touching each other, so I suspect that you're going to have 3 good results individually. Alright. So, nothing made it all the way through. I can see that. We can see the impact point number 1, 2, and 3 on the first panel. And it appears that all 3 made it through that. And remember, the 357 SIG, one of the projectiles stopped between panel number 1 and panel number 2. So let's see how the 10mm fared out on that one. Alright. So, panel number 1 completely passed through. Looks like all 3 projectiles kept trucking it right on through panel number 2. Looks like all 3 projectiles kept on shooting right through panel number 3. And it looks like all 3 made it through panel number 4. Alright. So we have 2 of the 10mm projectiles which stopped right here at panel number 5. You see a small impact there, another small impact here, and it looks like the 3rd impact kept going through panel number 5. So, let's see. Okay. Alright, well this last projectile definitely made it through panel number 5. And you see an impact here on panel number 6, but it did not go through panel number 6. There's really no damage on the back of it, but it seems like we've lost a projectile for it. So 2 of our projectiles stopped at panel number 5. The 3rd stopped here on panel number 6. And you guys see the results as I see them, so there should be a fun discussion in the comments below. Alright, that's about going to wrap it up for today's penetration test. I think those were some pretty clear results on this particular hard barrier penetration test. The 10mm really kind of just smoked that 357 SIG. Here's another good look at the impacts of all 3 projectiles of the 10mm. There's the 2 projectiles I was able to recover. These are the impact points of the 357 SIG. Down was just a bad shot on my part. There's all 3 projectiles from the 357 SIG. And you can see why I was thinking the plastic might have been compromised on the 357 SIG, because you see that crack goes all the way, reaches all the way in between both of those impact points. This one over here, not so much. There's no cracks that go across, but it is what it is. That's why I ran 3 rounds through it. Anyway, I'm interested to read your comments in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Ring the notification bell. Share my videos on social media. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button, and I will catch you next time right here on the Penetration Channel.